Can't see.
A woman should be who and what she wants. We support the multifaceted woman. The woman embracing many titles, undertaking different ventures, and building generational wealth. You are a Jackie of all trades, master of your empire. Enterprise Empress, you are an unstoppable force.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back. Hey, thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, I'm back too. Welcome back, Sharon and Neidy. We have missed you.
We're back together.
We're back together.
That's
Thank you
right.
for tuning in. If this is your first time, this show is called Today's Jackie, where we interview Jackies of all trades, master of her empire. These are women who are multifaceted, embracing many titles, undertaking many ventures, and building generational wealth. So welcome to Empress News, ladies. I'm your host, Sharon.
I'm Natalie.
Neidy Hornsby.
And I'm Dionna Gray.
Dionna is our very, very special guest. She is one of the co-owners and co-founders of the Womanish exhibit.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about that today and what Womanish is and all of that great stuff. But first, tell us, we always ask our guests, what are some of your titles? So like my titles, I'm an aunt, I'm a friend, I'm an entrepreneur. Those are a couple of my titles. What are some of yours?
Okay, well, first, I'm a child of God.
Yes.
I am a daughter, a sister, a philanthropist, a dreamer,
Yes.
visionary. I think that's it. We'll stick with that.
No,
I like that.
dreamer
Yes,
one.
me
Yeah.
too.
Like I like that.
We're going to come back to that.
Yeah,
one.
I like that. I
Question
like
about
that. Yeah. So tell us about Womanish. We know Womanish and what Womanish is, but for those of us who don't know or who've never heard of it, what is Womanish?
Yeah, so Womanish is an experiential exhibit. It's kind of a mixture of a selfie museum / experiential exhibit, because you can come in and get some really fire pictures. But it's experience. Everything's curated. So that when you walk through, you get to read things, you get to touch things, you get to feel things, you get to hear things. So yeah.
You know what I like about Womanish is that it's not just a selfie museum where you take pictures, but it's intentional about the knowledge and the understanding of women's ish. You know,
Right.
I think that's so great that you highlight things that represent some of the things that we don't talk about, or some of the things we do talk about, but sometimes we get penalized for talking about. So what are some of those issues that are represented in the exhibit?
Yeah, so one of the things, we have a room filled with tampons. It's called Censored, Consumerish, and so it is kind of a recreation of a store, and it has shelves, but all of the shelves have boxes filled with tampons, and we have a huge receipt that just all of that just kind of talks about
The pink
tax, and then normalizing also periods, but over the average span of a woman's lifetime, she'll spend around $11,500 on feminine products, and that doesn't include aspirin and then food, and and if you buy organic. So if that's the case, that could be double, triple, and then just the pink tax in general. When you walk into a store, same brand, blue package of razors, pink package of razors, the pink package is going to be more.
Right.
And so that goes with a lot of other things like helmets, and so it's all really on display. We have another room that talks about, the gender pay gap. It's called Paydish. And so we have this huge canvas, I would say, of a $20 bill that has Harriet Tubman on there. She was supposed to be the first woman to be on, a bill, and that wasn't passed through. So we touch on things. You can still come in and, like you said, get some really amazing pictures, but everything is intentional and purposeful.
Yes. What's your favorite room at Womanish?
I was just about to say that to you. So let me tell you why. I said it's intentional. My favorite room is Tell Me to Scream Tell me to smile and I'll scream.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of that room.
Moody-ish.
Moody-ish. Okay.
Mhm.
So the reason I said it's intentional is because I'm a very chippery, happy, smiley person, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of the people around me, that's not their personality. Now, Natalie, she is real chill. She's not going to be smiling all the time. My niece was working with me. She didn't smile all the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so moody-ish. Like, that's so annoying. And I was really one of those people that was very critical of women who were moody-ish or who didn't have a smile, or it's just like, oh, I thought this was the look or the way to be.
Mhm.
And they would offer so much, they just wasn't as bubbly or loud or aggressive as me. And it's like, but that didn't diminish the value that they brought to the team, the value that they brought to the room. So that's my favorite room, and Vanish, because that also touches on that. Vanish has these, I don't even know what are those things.
It's some type of material that you just see yourself, like you see your reflection, and it has different colors, and like, you know, it just, you can just see yourself differently through like different perspectives, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like seeing stuff through different lenses. And it's sometimes when you're depending on the mirrors around you, you can vanish in that space if it's too much, you know, comparison or looking in the mirror or looking out the window at other people. And that played off of tell me to smile on your screen, because now I'm making someone feel vanish in the space because I've judged the fact that they don't have the same personality as me. And I judged their personality as being moodish because it wasn't chippery.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we do that as women. Sometimes we kill other people's spirits because they're different from us.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I had to learn from that. I feel like that was a great lesson for me in the space.
Oh, that's a great interpretation. I like that.
So I haven't been. I'm actually going tomorrow, and I am so excited to go. 'Cause I have seen people's comments and pictures on social media. Somebody just we had a comment that said
I enjoyed myself.
Right, and somebody said the pink tax was revolutionary.
Oh, good.
Is that,
oh yes,
it was a
revelation.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't have my glasses, but I was close enough. So I'm very excited to go. I'm also very curious as to what prompted you to move from dreaming about it to doing it. What was the inspiration behind the concept?
Yeah, so my sister and I were working on an app first.
Okay.
And we were working on that app for like 6 years. Never went anywhere. We didn't make literally $1 from it. So we were like, okay, let's put together an event to promote the app. And so we put this event together in like 3 weeks. And that was the first time we ever made money. So we were like, okay, well, let's keep this moving, like, And so we were like, what's the biggest event that we can do? And literally, like, we were in the shower one day. Like, we have back at home, we have like a Jack and Jill room. And so like we have a shared bathroom. Daniel was like in the shower. I was washing my face. She's like, we should do an experiential exhibit. And it just kind of like took off from there. And so we did the research, and it just,
It was meant to come.
it just came to fruition. Yep.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Neidy, doesn't it feel like a big, when we heard that, the 6 years for the app, because we're working on an
app.
Enterprise Empress app, it is like not easy.
It's not easy, but it'll come to be when it comes to be, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in the way it's supposed to.
And in the way
Exactly.
it's
Because
supposed
the app,
to.
maybe the app wasn't the thing,
Mhm.
but
Right.
it was what led to what
Exactly.
you were actually intended to be doing.
Exactly. And that's why, when you listen to like a lot of entrepreneurs speak, they'll just tell you to start, because you might not end up where you thought you were going to end up, but you got to start, because it's a journey, and you might have to pivot, but like eventually you keep going, and you'll get there. So
That is huge. Don't stop.
and
You guys went for 6 years
Mm-hmm.
without stopping. And sometimes it gets frustrating. It's
Oh.
like, are we making any progress?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? I'm tired. Am I sure this is the right thing?
Listen.
Or
Yeah,
let me
don't
make
stop.
it perfect before I
Before I
put it out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
because it
Mhm.
has to be
Guilty.
right. That's me too. The best advice I've ever heard is start now, perfect later. Just go.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Start
Yeah.
now, perfect
Just
later.
do
Somebody put that in the comments if you're watching for us, please. So start now,
Okay.
perfect later.
Yes. I had a question I wanted to ask you. So, what are some of the challenges that you all have experienced in this journey?
As far as Womanish, or
As
just
far as just entrepreneurial in general?
So I'll start with, as far as Womanish, one, we were supposed to launch in March of 2020.
Oh no, not March 2020.
Yes. And as you all know, that is when COVID,
Right.
COVID had a launch instead.
Yeah, COVID had its launch instead. And so, my sister and I were very like faith-based. And we're like, okay, we've been planning on doing this event. Like, we concepted this in like January 2019, right? Okay. And then we found our creative director in like July of 19, and we started building our team. So we're building up, doing all these events to launch in March. Mm-hmm. And then we like, Lord, so instead, you was just like, no, like, y'all, you sit down. Right. You're not gonna launch right now. Mm-hmm. And we were like, you plan for everything, right?
But a pandemic.
Right, but a pandemic. I'm like, we've never even lived through that, right? And so for that to happen, we were just like, this is like crazy. Mm-hmm. But we were just like, well, God's not gonna play us. I don't know why this is it. And that's why, I'm glad I have a praying mother, because I remember literally when we had a group chat, and we were just like, we're gonna have to close it down. Like, we can't open in the midst of this, And so I remember leaving my job like in tears. And I don't cry in public at all, but I was just like so like overwhelmed. I called my mom, and she's just like, Dionna, the Lord got you, girl. And so just having that was really great. But that was the biggest obstacle that we had to overcome, because we didn't know, we've never lived through this. We didn't know how it was going to end up. But just like knowing and keeping the faith was like the biggest thing that got
a great lesson too, because while you were talking, it made me think of one of my favorite scriptures is be still and know that I am God. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, because we have faith and we want to put the action behind the faith, we start taking the driver's seat. And it's like, wait a minute, you're not the director. Like, God is the director. I gave you a glimpse of attraction of what the movie is going to be like, but you don't have the whole script. You're not running the movie. Right. Like, I need you to just be
You're an extra.
Right. Right. Not even an actress. You're an extra. This is my movie. Yeah. So just learning to be still. And I think that's one of the most rewarding thing for me when we have projects that were God ordained, when we knew it was nobody else, it wasn't even us, this was strictly ordained by God, and everything lined up. It's like this sense of confidence and increase in your faith. Yeah. So for those women who it's like, I don't know all the answers, it's okay to walk in the dark. Turn off the nightlight and just walk. God will tell you which way to turn. He'll tell you where you'll make a bump. He'll hold you down, Yeah. Because that's scary. Yeah. Very scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah. And the bumps are part of the journey. And sometimes that's where we learn the most. It's not in what we think of as victories, but it's in the journey. It's in those bumps. It's in the delays. It's in the pandemic coming. It's like, what are we going to do? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think we all have seen in our business that even through this pandemic, what we thought would like be a disaster for us from a professional has been a blessing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You guys launched in 2 different cities in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
You've gained clients in the midst of a pandemic.
I have.
And a show.
With us.
And
you
inherited
Sharon and I.
Sisters. Yeah.
In the midst of a pandemic.
So a lot has come. I do want to jump a little bit on your question about obstacles, because you work with your sister.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And before the show, we were talking about, first of all, the sister relationship can be complicated. I have 2. So, so you work with her and you're doing it very well. Mm-hmm. So how is the dynamics of that?
We have an older sister, but she, she has a different mom than us. So she kind of grew up outside of our house.
Okay.
So in our household, I was like the older sister. Mm-hmm. So it was always my responsibility to make sure that Danielle and Darian were good. Yeah. Right. So before anything, there's literally nothing that Danielle can do that will make me love her less. Right. I see her as like, she's obviously a grown woman now, but I see her as like my child in some sort of, in some sorts. And so But as we get older, it definitely is tougher navigating that space, because before anything, we are sisters. And so we have to make sure that not only are we like good as sisters, but like business.
Right.
And
Mhm.
it's been compromises on both parts, just learning like what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and different things like that. So we argue, but me and my sister, we've never gotten into a fight like physical or anything like that. Like, so, and our personalities, we're just like very chill. And like also at home, my parents didn't play that. Like, they're like, y'all are going to get along. I don't know what y'all got. Anytime my mom hears an argument even getting ready to happen, she's like, no, we don't do that in this house, you know. So that's something that was very important to her. So like, regardless of everything, that's my sister.
That's
so
beautiful.
Yeah. And who knew? I'm sorry.
No, go.
Who knew the foundation that she set when you all were little that you're going to get along?
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I don't care how mad you are. You're going to get along.
Yeah.
That it would set the foundation for who you all are today, and you going into business with each other and being business partners.
Yeah.
Because without that foundation, it could get a little strange.
Yeah,
be a
absolutely.
little different.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, me and my sister, our personalities are very like chill. But you know, we're still very kind of bullheaded sometimes. So just learning how like to like navigate in that space has been like work for both of us. But you know, we'll get mad at each other, whatever, click. And then like 2 seconds later, so we still doing this, you know, like that type of thing.
Sisters.
Yeah, sisters. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly.
Do you transfer that over in your morale with staffing and your team and
good
stuff? Because, you know, sometimes it's challenging trying to bring, it's your vision. And then you bring on people who are helping with that vision, but they adapt the vision too and make it a little bit of their own. So do you adapt that in your morale, or just, look, we're going to figure this out? If it's gonna look like something sparkling, let's call a meeting, cut it out.
Yeah. I think what's really amazing about our journey, we've worked with some really amazing people, and it's a smaller company, so like we have like personal relationships with everyone. So and Danielle and I, we're very approachable. We're not like, you know, or anything like that. So we're very I feel like we have like an open door, and if people have like criticism or, you know, ways to improve or whatever, like, you know, we're always down to listen. And it's important to me and Danielle to make sure that everybody that works with us feels appreciated and you know, valued and those type of things. So yeah,
because I asked that because working with a sister is the same as working with women, and that's what we're all about the show. It's like working with women, and the stigma is that women can't work together, businesses can't, if it's either you or I. And we even looked at it in Actress, you know, when that whole thing with Gabrielle Union, do y'all remember that? It was on Oprah and everything. It was like there's only one spot for a Black female, so it was like all the Black females were small, it's 10 of us, and we're all competing for the same spot all the time. So how do you not allow that energy from the outside to change, you know, that in the inside? So I think that's why I asked that, because that same mentality you're learning as a sister, blood sister, is the same thing as sisters in business, sisters in the community. It's like, if we see something spark, like you said, we have to have that inner mom in us. If you see something spark, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's communicate. Let's figure it out. I was on the way here, I was telling that I was speaking with someone, and she said, it was about business, but then she started telling me some person. She said, I'm sorry if I'm sorry if this isn't business. And I'm like, girl, we're women first, and women are real. You have real emotions, real feelings, real thoughts. And if you need to express those thoughts, be okay with that.
It's crazy how we have to apologize. We feel the need to apologize about expressing our feelings.
Which exhibit matches that?
I would say I would say the moody-ish one, or gloomy-ish. That's what I was thinking. Like just talking about how it's like okay to like not be okay. And even like that just kind of goes back to sometimes like how you were raised sometimes, you know, like I remember my dad I was very sensitive as a child. And so now I'm not sensitive at all, right? But I was very sensitive as a child. My dad, I would come home, I was upset. He was like, "Girl, don't you let them people see you cry," And so it was good and then it was bad because like I was like way too sensitive, so he did need to like put it in check. But like now it's kind of like manifested itself where it's like it's hard for me even to like share, to like be vulnerable, and so it's interesting. It's an interesting space, but I think that it is important for people to feel like it's okay and you won't be judged negatively if you have like a moment,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you do that, Nat, as a mom? Like not find that balance between helping them grow in their emotions, but not, killing their
Teach me that,
personality.
because I don't know.
That's
How do
funny.
you do that?
That y'all asking me, but like what I did with my girls, so I have 3 children, all who have very different personalities, very, very different, right? My oldest is not as emotional on the outside, it would seem. My middle child was like you, very, very sensitive. And then something happened like when she hit around adolescence and she went like to the other spectrum and now she's like, hugs are for punks. Let's not. And then my son's just really laid back and chill.
He hugs you all day.
He is, but he actually is the affectionate one of the 3, and he loves to hug and to touch, and he'll just do that. Like it's just who he is.
Yeah.
But what I did was I just accepted those things about all 3 of them and allowed them to be who they were.
Yeah.
And I didn't try to change them, even though it's not things that I can always relate to. Like my middle child, who was extremely emotional. I'm not very emotional, so I couldn't necessarily relate to that. But I allowed her to be.
Yeah.
And even now, when she needs to talk about it, I just listen. And that's it. Just allow them to be, like, for me anyway, with my kids, I just allow them to be and continue to allow them to be who they are and just take it. I always joke with my middle child because she's really, really intelligent, right? Like just God-given intelligence. It has nothing to do with me and her dad. And I say, I never know when you call me if you're going to tell me that you figured out some quantum equation that I can't understand, or if you're calling to talk about your lace front. Like the conversation can go.
But that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
So I just sit and I listen.
Yeah.
And a lot of times she's talking about something scientific that I don't really understand. But she says at the end of it, she'll say, Mommy, you know what I appreciate? That you just listen to me.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the key. Just listen. Don't say anything. I just mouth closed.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand what she's talking about.
I think that's what you're going to experience tomorrow in the space. Natalie and I, of course, have been in the space, but I think you are going to see that. I think that's what you guys mastered in the space, is that it allows, the space represents different women to be who they are. And then it allows you to listen to things that they don't allow you to say, like you said, things that we have feelings about that we don't get to talk about. Like, I don't want to smile.
Yeah.
And then, like she said, allowing people to share that with each other. A part of listening is growing from each other. And so there's a wall in the space. That
with the quotes.
Yeah, you can leave a quote. Is that Affirmish? I think. Yeah, so you can write a
I'm gonna
quote
love
and then
that.
it goes on, post it on the wall, and then
Yeah.
someone else can take that, post it if they need that to affirm them, and can put a post-it up there.
Oh,
It's just
I
like
love
sharing
that.
affirmations.
Yes, I already know that's gonna be my favorite. I already know.
My favorite space is actually Selfish.
Yeah.
When we went to Chicago, because we actually got to see Womanish at first in Chicago. So experiencing that, because for me, I don't always take care of myself first because of all of the other things.
Right.
And it was a good reminder to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of yourself. Go get your nails done. Go get your hair done. Like whatever it is, you need to take that time to take care of yourself before you continue to try to take care of everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think as women, sometimes we need that reminder.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't have a husband and children, there's always something or someone else pressing for your time and your attention that will take care of all of those things. And then if we have time left over, we'll give it to ourselves. But usually you don't have the time.
You don't.
You're exhausted at the end of the day. And it'll be a day and weeks and months before you've done anything for yourself. So
and then you
that's
grow
perfect.
resentment.
And
Yeah.
don't know why.
And don't know why.
That's
Yeah.
one of the things that I've really had to work on is being like selfish, because I,
Right.
you know, back to just like my whole childhood, like I was the older sister. So like my job,
Take
my
care
mom was
of
like,
everybody.
take care of everybody else, make
Mhm.
sure everybody else is okay. So that's how I've like, that's in, you know, my sibling relationships, that's in like intimate relationships, that's just in everything. And so like now I'm learning like the power of saying no,
Mhm.
you know, and then also just making sure that like I'm prioritizing like myself, you know.
Right.
You know, you know, the business I was, you know, doing Womanish, working a 9 to 5, and then just like my other, you know, just life in general. And I was just like, I need to like be just Dionna as
Mhm.
well, and like take care of Dionna and make sure that Dionna is happy. Because like literally last year during the pandemic, I didn't even know what made me happy. If you asked me what made everybody else happy, I could tell you. I didn't know like what made myself happy, which is like crazy. But
And
like
common though.
yeah.
Mhm.
It is.
But just like figuring out stuff like, okay, like I like to go to dinner and watch movies. So like I'm gonna make sure I do that often. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
doing
That's
things
good.
that like I like. So yeah.
That's really good. I love that you took the time to figure it out.
Yeah.
And not just figured it out, but you made a plan in order
Yeah.
to make sure that you do it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we may stop and figure it out,
And
but
do
then we go
nothing
right back
about
into
it.
the same thing.
Mhm.
But actually putting a plan in place helps to make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
I feel like you're calling me out.
No, but you know, that's one of those, ooh, you know,
Yeah.
like, because Natalie and I think that's my season right now. It's like I had to realize that I was not being strategic and intentional about my personal life as I was in my business life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, was I carving like I remember hearing, oh my God, Natalie, what's the lady who owns the Maverick or is the CEO or remember she was at the TDJ's conference?
Oh, I know who you're
and
talking about.
Is it Sharon?
I know exactly who you're talking about. Her name
Look-
does start with an S, I believe.
Yeah, look it up. She's like the first Black woman
The
to be
CEO.
a CEO of a NBA. That's
Oh
I think
yes.
The Dallas Mavericks.
the
Is it
Dallas
Cheryl?
Mavericks. I thought it was Cheryl. I can't
I actually
Google while you
posted
go.
her.
Yes.
Yeah, we love her. Cheryl, if you see this, just know that we love you. We saw you speak at TD Jake's conference, and what we loved is that
Cynthia
sometimes
Marshall.
what is it?
Cynthia Marshall?
Since that's
Cynthia.
her.
Marshall.
Cynthia, yeah.
Cynthia
Yes.
Marshall.
Mhm.
What she was saying to us is that carve out time, even put on your planner, do nothing today. Plan to do nothing. Plan to take a sabbatical. And it was so important because she said a lot of times, because your dreams are here and then God always exceeds your dreams. When it exceeds what you thought, you think you're doing good, but it's still nothing compared to all that he wants to give you. So I think she was talking about being on the jet, and she was like, I'm making more money. I'm doing more than anybody in my family where I came from. But then when she looked around, she wasn't doing as much. She wasn't getting as much money and as much as the counterparts in that space. But she thought it was a lot because it was more than where she came from.
Right.
But it still wasn't enough compared to the men and the white men in that space with her. And she had to realize that I deserve more. And in order to give more starts within.
Yeah.
So taking time out to reflect on these things so that you can see, is this all that I was supposed to receive? Is this all that I want to go? Do I want to go further? Do I want to embrace many titles and undertake many ventures? How do I want to build generational wealth? It takes you stopping and spending time with yourself to really learn yourself, to know what it is that's in you that's supposed to have an impact on society, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
And I was like, yeah.
And then you realize it's not what you thought.
Yeah.
That's true. Someone said, I still have a hard time putting myself first at 71.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got kids, grandkids, all that, great
by this point,
grandkids, of
probably.
course, right?
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah. Well, we hope that you take some time and pause, like Dionna did, to figure out what you enjoy and then put a plan in place and being able to execute it to take care of yourself.
Yes, because 71 is young.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
you
you still have a lot that you can do. So when take that trip when you can that you've always wanted to take. Start that hobby. I've met a lot of women who are older who was like, I always wanted to be a photographer. I always wanted to do this. And now they're doing it and they're doing it well.
Mhm.
You know,
Do
so
Yeah.
tap back into those books, those diaries where you had dreams. And
This is the beauty of
that.
this show,
Yeah.
right? That we talk about issues that transcend age.
oh,
You know?
intergenerational.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just the reality of being a woman.
Yeah.
That made me think about what you just said, made me think about Childish.
Mhm.
Because Childish
yeah.
is about going back, right?
Yes.
To who you were and
Mhm.
embracing and remembering what you used to dream about. That's another room. in
Y'all,
this
I'm
space.
so ready.
And this is a big drawing board where you
Yeah,
can
it's
just
a
color a
with
whiteboard to
expo
just
markers
color.
and just going color. It's a Barbie truck in there, which I love. That took me back to my childhood because I had a Barbie truck. It's
Mhm.
a
Hula
Barbie truck
hoops.
in there. Yeah, a lemonade's there.
Mhm.
Hula
It's really
hoop.
cool. But embracing that and remembering what things you dreamed about when you were little and what you enjoyed doing and figuring out maybe how to do those things again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I used to dance when I was younger, and that was something that I like loved to do.
Mhm.
And so I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to dance class. And on Monday, I went to a dance class. I had so much fun.
Awesome.
I think
It
that's
was
what's fun. 'Cause
so
I'm
much
trying to
fun.
rollerblade.
That's
So
awesome. So
Yeah.
you gotta get you some rollerblades.
Yeah.
I have
You have
some.
them? Okay.
Don't let
Yeah.
me see you on South Beach rollerblading by the water. I would be like, go,
No, I'm not there
Neidy.
yet. I'll put it in my backyard.
That's all
until-
right.
Yeah.
Start.
That's
That's-
awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
people were blowing up my phone. I was like, I'm not gonna be available for the
Good.
next 3 hours.
Yeah.
So
Good for you.
That's
Yeah.
fine. The world will not
Good for
stop.
you.
It'll be there when
It
you're
will
It'll
done.
be there. Yeah.
That was
That's
for
perfect.
me because I think I texted you and Tanisha last week. Remember?
Mhm.
And I was like, I want to go back to dance.
Yeah.
And it really, my boyfriend was like, I don't like any of these weight training and these CrossFits, and I'm trying to lose weight. He's like, why don't you go back to what worked for you?
Mm-hmm.
And I was
It
like,
makes you
yes,
happy.
That
It makes
that
you
made me happy to help me
Yeah.
lose weight.
Yeah.
It made me, it helped me understand my body. And, I felt intuitive. It was self-care and therapy for me all in one. So I was like, you know what? I just need to find me an Afro beats class. I really want to do that. If anybody knows,
I mean, you're in
really
Miami.
good-
I'm sure you're not gonna have a hard time
I've
finding
been
that.
trying. Have you
Really?
found one? I want like an Afro beats, like hip hop Afro beats dance class. Like I want to
So-
learn all the TikToks.
Yeah, there's this the place that I went to is called Black Box Studio in Miami.
Okay.
It's founded by a woman.
We're on it with the woman businesses. Yes.
And I think they have a reggaeton, so it's like a mixture of like Afro beats and like so. But yeah, it was fun. I had so much fun. It was great. I'm gonna do that
I'm gonna come to the dance
every
class.
week. Yep.
Do it again. So as we close out, Neidy, do you have a tip for us?
I do. So I am going to answer a question in the DMs, which I can't believe we've never talked about. Somebody DM asking, what is the difference between copyrights, trademarks, and patents? And I apologize because that's actually a really great question.
I'm just happy you getting DMs from here. Good.
I mean, yes. So,
people.
all of these three things fall under intellectual property, right? So when you think about it, intellectual property is an umbrella, but there's different things that you can protect under that umbrella. So when we talk about patents, we're talking about inventions, like physical, things that change the way that we do things. You would seek a patent to protect that idea,
Like
right?
a typewriter.
Like a typewriter. That's a good one, right? But when we're talking,
that's what I thought about it.
but when we're talking about copyrights, and a good way to think about it, you know how it's a C with the circle. Think about creative works, right? So we're talking about music or a play, a painting, a photograph. Those are all things that you protect under the copyright side of intellectual property. And then trademarks is all about brand protection, your logo, your slogan, your brand name, right? You want to make sure that you own your brand identity, especially in a world where everything is on social media. It's very easy for someone to fall in love with what you're doing and try to replicate it. So trademarks protects your brand, right? So I am so thankful for that question because it's really an important one for us to differentiate between all the ways that you can protect your intellectual property.
Good.
Yeah, that's the thing too, because like in Chicago especially, like we had like clothing lines popping out, like people
with Womanish.
Yeah, people would come into our space take videos and then promote womanish joggers. I'm like, girl, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Oh.
And people be sending us stuff all the time. And then, you know,
That's unfortunate.
yeah, I'm like, this is, and then I remember,
It's stealing.
yeah,
It
I
is.
remember calling one of the
Tell me what it
ladies.
is.
What it is.
I remember calling one of the ladies and, you know, because she was a woman of color and she was younger, but she was a very prominent, like,
Influencer?
yeah, influencer in Chicago. And so I personally called her and I was like, hey, you know, X, Y, and Z, you can't really do this. And she was like, well, Gucci don't call me. And I was like, girl, what? Like, what?
No, but I'm sure Louis
It's the
Vuitton,
boldness for
Gucci,
me.
Yeah.
they feel that way.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so, yeah. So it's important. Make sure you have all, you know, get your trademarks, get all that stuff taken care of because people will absolutely try it.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's good. That was very timely.
Yeah, it was. It
That
was.
very timely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a tip for that is when you were just saying, make sure you do all of that. We talk about this a lot. Put the legalities before the creativity.
Yeah.
We always reference back to "Oh Happy Day," that song. Do you know that they never had the rights to that song? So now that song is on so many movies. It's in every hymn book in church. Every choir sings it, and their family does not get money from it.
That's such a common
What?
story, though. That's, you know, you see it all the time, especially with creatives now on social media coming up with really dope stuff that they technically don't own. So
Not protected.
yeah.
Not
Oh,
protected.
thank you for that.
So as we close out, because I think we're at time.
We are.
Dionna, where can we find you on social?
You can find me on social at Dionna Lachelle. It's spelled D as in diamond.
Yeah.
I love saying diamond, you know, pressure creates diamonds always. So D as in diamond, IONNA, and then Lachelle, LASHALL.
Nice.
Is your middle name Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
My middle child's name is Michelle.
Oh,
Michelle,
really?
the exact, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I'm like, Mama, you did a good job, bro. I don't know where you got it from, but you did a good job.
And Womanish, where?
And then Womanish, the brand is at Womanish Experience.
Neidy, where can we find you on social?
At Guard Your Genius. Get it? Guard Your
Guard Your
Genius.
Guard Your
Genius.
I
Genius.
like
Yes,
it.
yes.
And then you can follow us on Enterprise Empress. And then we're going to talk about next time rebranding because we're going through a whole rebrand with our name. So
Yeah, who we are as a
yeah.
company.
So right now you follow us on Fit Enterprises and Enterprise Empress, but stay tuned because we got some big things and we're going to be switching over the brand so that, we can
Boss
protect
move
our identity
left
like
and
you
right.
said.
Yes.
Boss move, yes.
I
Shout
love it.
out to the boss in our community, Sandy Walker with the
Yes.
Gospel Truth and her daughter Summer.
Yes.
Sandy, the September edition of Gospel Truth features Enterprise Empress and Womanish. So we
Yes.
posted it today. So if you want to know more,
Yes.
check out that article. You'll get close and personal with them. And then also follow them and follow us.
Yes.
Thank you
all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Ladies, remember, wear your crown and wear it well. We'll see you guys again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.